Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a beautiful setting here in the foot of the Malvern Hills for our third ever Great British Women's Championships on our STIHL TIMBERSPORTS stage. So great to see so many of you lovely people here this morning, ready for some white-hot action from some of our top female athletes. You're in for a real treat. Disciplines with both the saw and the axe, and we are competing for the title of the Great British Female Champion of 2024. Okay, we're going to get the sports underway, and we need a few dignitaries onto the stage. So without further ado, we're going to welcome on our Global Sports Director, Spike Milton. Morning, Spike. Next up, we have our very important people, the judges. Let's welcome on Bart Janssen and Andy Hall. And a big shout out to video judge who won't see any of the sunshine today. That's Jules Janssen. He's in the truck. We may get a clip of Jules in action with his multi-screen technology. There he is. Spare a thought for poor Jules. He won't see any sunshine today. It's the first day of sunshine we've had in this country as British summertime starts today. All right, now, without further ado, we need to see our athletes. Are you ready to welcome them out, Malvern? I said, are you ready to welcome them out? Yes, okay, here we go. Please welcome onto our stage, firstly, Felicia Bank. Next up, we have Marta Poletti. Making her debut at British Timbersports, Georgia Lewis. We welcome another debutante, Rachel Farrington. Okay, next up, a flag bearer of women's timber sports in this country, Beth Parker. And also a competitor returning from our first ever timber sports 2 years ago, Sarah Cox. And another history maker, our first ever women's champion of 2022, Zoe Penlington. Incredible story for you next. She's recovered from a broken neck at the end of last year to make it back this year. Please welcome on stage, Kat Eccles. And a beautiful British welcome to the next competitor, Libby Arrowsmith. And finally, the small matter of our reigning British champion. We welcome Justine Narusa. Very good morning to all our women who are ready to go, raring to go for this morning's British Championships. And to talk us through and to add colour and excitement to proceedings, I'm delighted to welcome back to our fair British Isles, the one and only Troy Mannering. Good morning, Troy.
Good morning, Alex. Thank you very much, and welcome to all the people watching our live stream around the world, wherever you may be. We have some exciting action for you with the best women here on stage to battle it out to see who will become the British Women's Champion for STIHL TimberSports. Before that gets underway, though, we have 4 disciplines to battle through today. Let's check out the competition format for today's activities.
The STIHL TimberSports Women's Competition. All athletes will compete in 4 disciplines. The maximum points awarded for each discipline result from the number of participating athletes. The first discipline is the stock saw. The fastest athlete will receive points equal to the total number of athletes competing, down to 1 point for the last place in each discipline. The second event is the standing block chop. Points remain the same, awarded based on times, and as with all events, any rule infraction will result in a disqualification and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. As the third discipline, every competitor will need to show their skill in the single butt. And in the underhand chop, it's the athlete's last chance to claim valuable points. The points from all disciplines are accumulated, and the athlete with the highest point total wins the competition.
Okay, Troy, really excited to get things underway in our third ever Great British Women's Championships here in Malvern, Worcestershire.
Yeah, and as you heard, our very first set of disciplines, or our very first discipline, is the stock saw. So let's quickly check out the tool and discipline that you'll see first today on stage.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional STIHL technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark. 1 downward and 1 upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
Okay, so let's take a look at our start list for the stock saw, the first discipline of 4 in our championships today. We have Georgia Lewis and Beth Parker going in Heat 1, Felicia Bank, Rachel Farrington in Heat 2, followed by Sarah Cox and Zoe Penlington in Heat 3. Heat 4 will be Kat Eccles and Libby Arrowsmith, and Heat 5, Marta Poletti and Justine Narusa.
Should also point out we will see 2 athletes on stage at the same time battling against each other, but it is about getting the fastest time possible to gain as many points as possible throughout all of these 4 disciplines to see who is going to top the podium today. So it is not knockout here.
Kicking things off for us, making her debut, Georgia Lewis, an accountant, decorator of cakes,
Cake decorator,
and timber sports debutante. And to stage right as you look there, Beth Parker, who cites the stock saw as a favourite event, so expecting big things.
Okay, ladies, warm up your saws. Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start by Beth Parker. She got that saw up quickly, but look at the cut speed right now from Georgia Lewis. Transition is fantastic. Georgia Lewis has a very good upcut right now. Beth Parker doing as well to catch up, but it's Georgia Lewis with a great time of 12.76 and a 14.61 for Beth Parker. 2 very good cuts there. Judges will check the discs and the block to make sure that both discs are complete and there are no cut lines. And then, looks like we have an investigation on stand 2 here. That's Beth Parker's stand. So what will happen here is they'll see if there's any parts of that disc left on the ground, and we do have a flag on the play. So we are going to see our judges now try and piece together the rest of that cookie. It's like putting a puzzle back together. So if the cookie falls from the block and breaks on impact on the floor, it is okay as long as the pieces can be put back together. Now what they'll do is they'll very often go to the competition control center where they have the slow-mo video, and they can actually see if the cookie drops in complete form if they can't find all of the bits and bobs on the floor there.
So it's all down to Jules Janssen and his team there in our trailer backstage.
We do say thin to win with these cookies, but that's pushing the limits just a little bit.
Okay, so we made a video check for a potential incomplete cookie. However, both cuts are good.
All right, well,
that's the start we want.
That is the start we wanted. Beth Parker really wiping the sweat off her brow there as she leaves the stage, and that's taking, like I said, that's taking thin to win to a new extreme. Let's take a look back at these cuts. So, fantastic start from both of these women. You can see a really good pickup and beginning, and there you see Georgia Lewis, the closer of the two to us. She's got a nice thin cookie as well. Watch this first cookie from Beth. As she comes towards the bottom of that cut, she gets really close to it, and it hits the deck, and it's super, super thin. And the second cut from Georgia Lewis is a bit fatter, but she'll take it. She's got 2 on the deck and a good time. And Beth Parker, meanwhile, look at that. Wow, that was very thin. Beautiful transition to the upcut. And she did a great job, and she got good to be lucky, lucky to be good in that case, having a very thin cookie, and it counted, so that's good.
Okay, heat 2 sees Felicia Bank and Rachel Farrington also making her debut in British women's timber sports. Delighted to have both Felicia and Rachel along for the competition.
Felicia was actually a Danish team member at the team championship not too long ago, and
okay, ladies,
was the stock sawyer
warm up
for
your
them.
saws.
So she is well adept with the stock saw in hand.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Really good pickup by both of our women. Felicia leaning into it. Transition is nice. Rachel Farrington, oh, she's got a bit of a cutout there. I hope she sees that and cuts another cookie. And Felicia Bank with a season's best, 11:23, and a personal best for Rachel Farrington. They'll have a quick look at those cookies to make sure everything is okay. They're also taking a look at Felicia's side to make sure no cut lines. And it looks like we might be okay here. One small piece off the bottom, and again, another investigation on stand 2. Tension mounts as our judges, Andy and Bart, look for the parts, and again, flag on the play, stand 2. Got to be really aware of the angle that you're cutting at. You can see both of those discs are almost like wedges for truck tires.
So we have a disqualification on stand 2 for an incomplete disc. However, this cut is good.
Unfortunately for Rachel Farrington, we have a DQ for an incomplete cookie. They couldn't find the parts they needed to rebuild that one, unfortunately for her. But Felicia Bank with a season's best and a new national record now at 11:11. So a fantastic run for her.
Unfortunately, sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles when you get to major competition stages.
The dad jokes are back.
They are, with a vengeance. Apologies to everyone watching around the world, but this is what you're going to have to deal with.
You see the first cookie was perfect. It landed, no problems. She readjusted on the second cookie. I guess she felt like she didn't have enough space. Then we had a little bit of a chain stall there. And that one, after the readjustment, she was too far to the outside. So that's where we got that incomplete cookie, unfortunately.
Okay, next up we have Heat 3 of the stock saw, Sarah Cox with a PB of 15.98. Going on to the stand with former British champ Zoe Penlington, who also has a really fast PB of 14.66.
Zoe doesn't like that moniker former. She wants it back. And you know that she's got the skills to be able to do it.
I'm just starting to wind her up, though, just to get her angry.
Okay, ladies, warm up your saws. Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Sarah Cox with a quick pickup, but she hovered a little bit on top of that block before she began her cut. Looks like a very thin cookie. Same thing for Zoe Penlington. Beautiful transition for Zoe as she comes up through the upcut. A little bit too much power. She stalled out, but she managed to get a personal best out of that one with a 14.54. Sarah Cox with a beautiful 12.55, also a personal best. So far, that's 4 personal bests out of this heat or set of heats, and that's great to see. Love to see those personal bests drop.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so Felicia Bank at the moment with the time to beat and a national record at 11:11. Sarah Cox with a 12:42 in second place. You can see there she hovered just slightly above that block before she began her cut, just aiming that saw right there. And you can see she began with a very big paper thin cookie. Holy smokes, folks, was that ever thin? The transition there, very nicely done by Sarah on the upcut. Again, another thin cookie. Excellent job. Now Zoe had a little bit of an issue on the pickup. She tagged the bottom of the block, but she did get a good thin cookie there. It was complete all the way to the bottom. You can see that small tag as that one dropped, but the rest of the cookie was good. And she had a bit of an angle coming up, twisted the blade in the block a bit. You can see that angle was really harsh, and that stalled out the chain some, so that slowed her time down a little bit. So we know that she can do faster. Okay, heat 4. All right, heat 4 coming up between Kat Eccles and Libby Aerosmith, both of them with very good, just over 12-second personal bests. And we're looking to see all of these personal bests always improved on, and we love to see that. So, of course, any encouragement that comes their way is going to help them a lot.
Okay, ladies, warm up your saws. Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, that's a very wide cut for Kat Eccles to start things off with here. She's going to have to be careful on the transition for the upcut. Oh, but she's got a beautiful transition to the upcut, and that's a nice cut. Libby Aerosmith with a very good time of 12.51. Kat Eccles a 12.79. Quick check on their blocks and their cookies. Everything seems to be good, so they'll move to the decision zone with Andy Hall for the final call.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
There we go. The cuts are good. We've seen some good action in stock saw so far today. Kat Eccles a little bit slower on the beginning with her cut at the top. She hovered slightly, and you can see that's a very thick cookie. It doesn't leave a lot of space in the remaining part of the log to get that cut through. Libby Aerosmith, beautiful transition by her as she starts to work the upcut there. So that was a really efficient transition. The upcut maybe pulling a little bit too hard, slowing that chain down. And the upcut by Kat Eccles was beautiful and thin. Thin to win is the motto. As we move on to stock saw, heat number 5 between Marta Poletti and Justine Russa. Both of them holding respective national records. Justine Russa is our reigning women's British timber sports champion. And I've just been informed she actually holds all of the women's records at the moment, so wow. There you go.
Okay, ladies, warm up your saws. Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very quick pickup by Justine Russa. Marta Poletti was a little bit slower on that. Transition by Marta on the bottom is very nice, so Justine Russa is through in a time of 12.07. Marta Poletti in 13.65. If those times stand, Justine Russa has just moved into second place in the stock saw results behind Felicia Bank. Libby Aerosmith currently sitting in third place. Uh-oh, we do have a broken cookie on the deck though. And we may have a disqualification here.
So we have a disqualification on stand 2 for an incomplete disc. However, this cut is good.
All right, an unfortunate disqualification, and maybe we can see in the slow-mos where it happened. That first cookie actually looked quite fine. There it is at the bottom of the cut. She barred out just on the far side, and I guess she didn't see it because of the block and the motor of the saw being in the way. And had she noticed that, she would have been allowed to go back and cut a third cookie to at least get a time. It would have been slower, but at least it would not be a DQ, which results in 0 points. Marta Poletti leaning into that saw. As we take a look at the stock saw rankings, this will actually be our overall rankings as well, as this is the first discipline out of the way here. Felicia Bank with the fastest time of the day, a season's best national record, 11:11. Libby Aerosmith with the second fastest time, 12:27, and Sarah Cox with the third fastest time at 12:42.
Yeah. Tough start there for Justine. She's our reigning champ, and to get a DQ is a really tough beginning for her. So she's going to have to recover. We've got 3 more disciplines to come, but...
Absolutely. I mean, you know, if anybody can do it, she can do it. She knows she has the skills. That was just a bit of an unlucky upcut. You know, she didn't see the angle of the bar on the far side of the block, and when you're cutting, you don't see down at that angle. So if you really don't have everything lined up just right, it can be a little bit of a tricky one. And if you see that the block lands on the ground and there is a bit missing from it, you can always go back and do a third cut as a safety cut if you've got enough material left over there. She didn't see it, didn't do the cut, so this is one of those things that just happens.
But the disciplines come thick and fast. The next up is our standing block chop, a classic timber sport. Let's see what's involved.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 25 centimeters has to be cut through from both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
So here's our standing block chop start list, the second discipline. And Justine Narusa has a chance to recover now in Heat 1 on the stand with Libby Arrowsmith. And on Heat 2 will be Kat Eccles and Zoe Penlington. Heat 3, Georgia Lewis and Felicia Bank. Heat 4, Marta Poletti and Rachel Farrington.
And there you see our stage with the lineups of our blocks ready to go for our first standing block chop heat with Justine Narusa and Libby Arrowsmith.
See Justine preparing her stand, preparing herself. She holds all our British women's records right now. And not only is she a keen timber sports athlete, she enjoys hiking and paddleboarding in her spare time in her home in Carnarvon in North Wales.
Okay, ladies. Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Big shout out as well to Libby Arrowsmith, our youngest women's competitor this season. And she was on stage here last year with her mum in the competition.
Yeah, they competed together, did a great job out there, continue to train together. Some of those chips are really taking their time to get out of that block. One was stuck onto Justine's axe there, but she managed to just ignore it and continue cutting. Important here is to make sure you get those chips away and don't get that axe caught in there like Justine just did. Libby seems to be doing quite well. Justine's getting deep on that first side, and you can see the bits and bobs flying off of those blocks. Important here is to make sure that your angles are right so that you're not cutting new material every time. Your accuracy has to be right on point as well. This is a very difficult discipline as well. It's one of the final disciplines that timber sports athletes will learn. They'll learn the underhand chop with the axe before. They'll learn this one in order to be able to control that axe really well and competently, because it is a very dangerous discipline if the axe decides to skip away from the block at all, and you've got to really maintain control of that axe. Justine was first over to her second side, and Libby has just joined her about 5 or 6 strokes behind. Justine getting deep in there, a little bit of salad, so the accuracy isn't 100%, but she's working hard to get those chips out. Meanwhile, Libby's trying to get that first big chip out of her block, and it is just not releasing at all. I could see the top of that block wiggling and waggling, but unfortunately, both of our ladies have exceeded the time, and so we will see 2 DQs here for our standing block chop to start this day off. And that is a very rough start for Justine, as having 2 DQs in a row, and Libby Aerosmith DQ'd in the second event here.
So both competitors are disqualified for exceeding the time limit.
Tough blocks today.
Third woodsman who can cut down a tree more easily than most.
Let's take a look now at our next set of highlight reviews from that session there, Troy.
They both started off really well here, actually. I mean, they were getting into the wood, but you can see here, Justine got that axe stuck in a couple of times, and once it gets stuck in there, it's really, really hard to wrench it out. And it's, you know, it makes it a lot more difficult, and every time it gets stuck in there, it takes time to get it out. Every time it gets stuck in there, it takes energy to get it out. And so that really, it saps your power, and it saps the time as well. So this is one of the reasons why we saw them go past the minute 30 mark here.
Okay, heat 2, the standing block chop, Kat Eccles and Zoe Penlington. So not only is Kat Eccles a highly competent timber sports athlete, she's also incredible with the tennis racket and with the curling.
Okay, ladies.
Curling, all right.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Zoe and Kat both getting into it with power right away. Big chips flying off for Kat as she is just putting everything into it off of that back leg. Zoe's got a nice piece hanging there that's really in the way. And that could be a problem as it continues to get in the way of each of her drivers. The live audience here today giving both of our women plenty of encouragement. Bit of a deep shot there on the backside of the block by Kat Eccles as she's got herself a knot right in the middle of that one. Zoe's got one as well. You can see those little dark spots right in the middle, and those can be really difficult to cut through. They can be damaging to these axes, believe it or not. And here goes Zoe over to the other side of her block as we reach the 54-second mark, close here. We should be able to get these women done and dusted as they're on second sides now. Kat Eccles about 3 drivers behind Zoe Penlington. Kat's got a bit of a deeper cut on that first side, so let's see if they can get it done inside the 1 minute 30-second mark here. The block's really hard today. Kat's coming close to it. Zoe's getting deeper on her second side as well. And you can see they're both very tired. There's that dark spot in the middle of Kat's. Oh, it looks like it might be close for Kat Eccles. Will she be able to get it? No, unfortunately not. Both of them are going to have a DQ because of exceeding the time limit on the standing block chop. And Kat really wanted to have that block off the top there. One driver there. Unfortunately, it was just outside the time. So it's the same situation for our women today as it was for our men yesterday, struggling to get through these blocks.
So both competitors are disqualified for exceeding the time limit.
Now, despite the DQ, the sad DQ for both female athletes there, Kat Eccles was not going to leave that stage without finishing the job.
She was angry with that block, and I don't blame her, quite frankly. Yeah, you can see right there, Zoe had that piece, that chip that was just hanging by a thread, The problem with that chip being in the way is if you tag it on the way through, it just strains away all of the power from your hits. You can also see on both of our women's blocks, they had a dark spot in the middle, which is basically like a really hard to cut through part, and it's harder, and these blocks are very hard to begin with. So it's excessively difficult to get through these blocks today and yesterday, in particular if you've got a knot in the middle of it, it's even worse. And the other drama here is if that knot gets hit by your axe in just the right way, it can damage the axe. And these are very, very expensive axes. So yeah, there's no two ways about it. It's a difficult one for the standing block, and it was yesterday and it is today for the women. Yeah, great efforts from both our athletes we saw there on stage. I know Kat Eccles up in Ayrshire in Scotland, she actually trains in a back garden. It's not the biggest of back gardens, Troy, but she is putting in the hard yards and the training. And don't forget, she's recovered from a broken neck at the end of last year. So yeah, that's an unbelievable story right there in and of itself. So a lot of people refer to this sport as the original extreme sport, and we're going to give you a glimpse of why it has come to where it is these days and why it's referred to as the original extreme sport. Take a look at this.
Expert woodsman who can cut down a tree more easily than most people can chop one up. When it really comes to tackling large lumps, you can't beat the men of the forestry companies.
An axeman's gathering.
Okay, so we're 2 disciplines down. This is the third, the standing block chops in heat 3. So we're still in the standing block chop, I beg your pardon. In heat 3, we've got Georgia Lewis and Felicia Bank.
Yeah, this is, as you mentioned off the top of the show, Georgia's debut in the women's competition. She's been training hard. She actually made a trip down to New Zealand, and they did a tour around New Zealand and met a few of the athletes and teams down there and did some training with them. Felicia Bank has been busy in the woods training as well, and we'll see how these two get along with the wood that's been a bit troublesome this weekend.
Okay, ladies, athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start. A bit of a hop there by Georgia Lewis on her second driver from down below, but she's got good form. Felicia Bank getting into it as well. Neither one of them really chipping out much at this point. That wood's holding on for dear life. A little bit's coming out of Georgia's now. Felicia's getting some out too. This can be very, very, very tiring. You're using your whole body to swing that axe, and then if it gets stuck in there, trying to wrench it out and start again and get that flow going, it can be excessively tiring. And this is one of the reasons why we do have the time limit set here, so that if it does get to a point where the body becomes really too tired to keep cutting, you can make mistakes, and mistakes can be dangerous, especially with these razor-sharp axes in hand. And this is the same for the men as it is for the women. And there we see Georgia moving over to the second side of her block. Felicia struggling to get the axe out as we pass the minute mark here. And Felicia now moving over to the second side of hers, and you can see she's also dead tired as she walked over to the other side with not a hop in the step, I would say. Look at the concentration there by Georgia Lewis, though. You can see Felicia's breathing heavy as well. Both of them tired, trying to get through those blocks. And it is coming down to that cutoff time for both of them. And there you see it again. DQs here in our standing block chop. That is an unfortunate set of circumstances for all of our athletes. One thing we can say, though, it's consistent across the board where the wood is concerned.
So both competitors are disqualified for exceeding the time limit.
Troy, it can be soul destroying for the athletes, but how do they recover from the disappointments of a DQ?
Well, they can look at it in two ways. Everybody's got the DQ, so everybody's getting 0 points, so they can start fresh after their stock saw when we move over to the single buck. Single buck is an opportunity for them to redeem themselves, get some points, and usually what they say is when the cutting disciplines or chopping disciplines aren't running well, the sawing disciplines do run well. So they can depend on the sawing disciplines now to hopefully generate the points that they need to move on to the next steps here and get as many points as they can towards the end of this. But you can see here on Georgia's block, it was just not letting go of any wood. Normally, by the time you get to that third or fourth hit on the side, you've got these big chips flying out.
Big opportunity now for the remaining two contestants in our final heat of the standing block chop, Marta Poletti and our debutante, Rachel Farrington.
And just to give you an idea of what's normally seen by our women, 57-18 is the season's best for standing block this year. So it is definitely possible, and what we're dealing with here is just a very difficult block.
Okay, ladies, athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And right into it right away, Rachel Farrington. Hey, she got some nice chips out on those first two drivers. Looking good for Rachel on the stand 2 stage right here as she is really getting right into it. And oh boy, she's getting some nice power into those drivers, looking very good. Marta Poletti as well, getting some chips out. Could we see our first scores going in here? Let's hope so. Both of these women working really hard. Rachel looking very good on that first side as she moves over to the other side. And there's a little bit of excitement flowing here. Marta Poletti should be going over to the second side of her block any time now. And Rachel Farrington started on the second side of her block. She is about 4 strokes ahead of Marta on side 2. And Marta begins her work on side 2. Rachel looking very good. Some big chips ready to come off on that one. She's got a hanger though, and she's got to get that out of the way. And it goes. Coming down to the minute mark here.
Rachel's on the home straight with about 30 seconds to go.
Is she ever? And it looks very good for her. She's got the power. Does she have it deep enough? Marta Poletti also looking good on her side. 20 seconds to go. Yes, we're going to have a score. Yeah! Rachel Farrington. And look at that one. 12-12, a national record. Fantastic.
On her debut as well, but Marta's still going.
She's got 7 seconds to get through that block. And she is struggling with that axe. It's getting stuck every time. It is just not letting her go. And oh no, Marta Poletti with the DQ. So Rachel Farrington will be the only one with a point here in the standing block chop. Unbelievable. So that is a bit of a comeback for her, having DQ'd in the stock saw. So she'll have points here as the only competitor in standing to do it.
So we have a disqualification on stand 2 for exceeding the time limit. However, this cut is good.
Fantastic job by Rachel Farrington, and she takes the national record. Amazing.
It's not a bad start to a Sunday.
Yep, that'll do for her, absolutely.
Maybe I shouldn't have been surprised though, Troy. I mean, I'm continually amazed by our incredible women. And this is our 3rd year of the British Women's Championships, but with Rachel in particular, she owns her own horse and she jousts as a knight in her spare time. She's a Lady Lancelot, would you believe?
That's hilarious. Now, that I wouldn't have expected. That's a very cool thing. Why not?
Shows the accuracy that she's got going on with the axe and the joust.
Absolutely. Now, you can see there she had a really nice deep cut on the first side. She opened it up really well, and she got around to the second side. And she was really taking no prisoners here. The power was there. The accuracy was there. And you know that's only going to improve for her. And what a great job, and glad to see Rachel Farrington with a time to make up for the DQ in the stock.
And we say if you can get through in that time and you perform well, there are big points up for grabs, and you'll see that not only did Rachel take away the national record, but she takes away 10 points, and no other athlete can claim any points there. And let's see how that's affected the overall standings. And it's Felicia Bank in first place with 10 points, and Rachel Farrington also on 10 points. Libby Arrowsmith has 9. So it's all out there to play for. We have 2 disciplines to go, Troy. everything and everyone is in the mix.
Yeah, there's no two ways about it. And like I mentioned earlier on, our next discipline, the single buck, this is an opportunity for all of our ladies to try and redeem themselves from these DQs that have happened in the first and the second disciplines in the event so far. It does happen. I mean, you know, wood is a natural product. You just don't know what you're going to get inside those blocks. But at least we can say the blocks have been consistent and fair for all of the women across the board. And we saw the same thing yesterday. You know, some of the guys weren't happy about it, but it is the way it is. Everybody had the same conditions, so you have to deal with what you're given.
And this next discipline will be exciting. We bring out the 2-meter long saw with its 10-centimeter teeth, the misery whip.
The misery whip,
Troy.
Yep.
And it could be exciting, it could be miserable for some of our athletes, but let's hope they get the grip of this huge saw in the single buck.
Let's take a look at that discipline.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc from a 40-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
All right, we keep moving. It's the single buck, our third discipline. And our heats pan out thus. Heat 1 will be Georgia Lewis and Rachel Farrington, Rachel currently in 2nd place on the leaderboard. Heat 2, Beth Parker and our youngest women's competitor, Libby Arrowsmith. Heat 3, Sarah Cox and our 2022 champion, Zoe Penlington. Heat 4, Kat Eccles and Marta Paletti will take the stand. And in Heat 5, our current leader, Felicia Bank, will be on stage with our reigning champ, Justine Narusa.
If memory serves, Libby Arrowsmith is quite adept with the single buck. And let's see how our first 2 competitors pan out with the 2-meter-long crosscut saw. Georgia Lewis up against Rachel Farrington on stage.
Okay, ladies, athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, Rachel Farrington got that saw going quite quickly. Georgia Lewis in there as well, getting support from Glenn Penlington. Rachel Farrington opted to set that saw a little bit closer to the edge so that the wood doesn't bind as much on the saw. A very good job by both of these women working at it. Rachel Farrington looking like she has a slight advantage as we get past the halfway mark, and you can see there's Glenn setting the wedge in for Georgia. They are allowed to have helpers out there. And Rachel Farrington with a personal best, 31.95. Georgia Lewis with a 34.04 personal best. Good job by both of these women. Excellent cuts, and it looks like fair cuts as well from my perspective here. What I really liked and enjoyed by that, though, is the fact that they did keep these saws moving cleanly the whole time.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Amazing work, and don't forget, it's the first time we've had both Georgia and Rachel on our stage for these championships, so amazing work from both of them, and I can see the jousting skills coming back.
Yes, absolutely.
See where the jousting of Rachel's expertise there coming into play.
You can see Rachel here, she is using a good majority of the length of the saw. Georgia was doing much the same, trying to breathe through each of those strokes as they get down towards the bottom. And here you can see a really nice clean finish by Rachel Farrington as she drops that cookie onto the deck with a very, very solid time of 31.67. So she sets the bar now for the single buck with Georgia Lewis at a 33.84. Both of those times check marked by uns and by us here. And we next have our next heat up. The single buck in heat number 2 is Beth Parker and Libby Arrowsmith.
Yeah, Beth will We're trying to work out what's going on with our wood today. She's an educational psychologist from Southport. And Libby Arrowsmith from Wales, still at college, keen photographer. She'll have a keen eye for this single book. And we need points on the board, Troy.
We need points on the board, absolutely.
So you have to have that single book saw exactly right to get started. Otherwise,
everybody's got their own system. Everybody's got their own idea.
Okay, ladies.
Here we go.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Yeah, it's very seldom that you see somebody push to start one of these single saws, but it does happen. More often than not, you're going to see them pull, and as I was saying, everybody's got their own system as to how they set the saw up and in which position they set it up in. But you can see Libby Arrowsmith really going for it here. Oh, she got a little bit stuck there with a small angle change. Beth Parker is still pushing hard. She's getting close to the bottom of her, but she got a bit of a sticky wicket as well, as both of our women working hard towards the bottom. Libby Arrowsmith has got the flow. She's using the entire length of that saw. One more sticky one. Oh, she's got a tab. She's got to cut that off, and that's going to kill her time a little bit. And Beth Parker drops it in 36.01, and hopefully Libby Arrowsmith got that tab off. They'll check that at the end because, of course, same situation here. You have to have a complete cookie on the deck. So our women will join Andy Hall up in the decision zone stage front for the final call.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so Libby did well to get that small tab off at the bottom. We'll take a look back here in the replay as to what happened, but before that, we could see the start by both of them. Now, Libby opted to go for the long strokes right out of the gate, and this is what makes her a very good single sawyer because she can get that saw started and just keep the flow going. Beth Parker took a few quick strokes at the top of the cut and then just got that flow going. Now, both of them hooked up a couple of times during the cut, which does happen. This is one of the reasons why they call it the misery whip, because it makes you miserable to have to restart it. And there you can see a little twist out by Libby. Got that tab off at the bottom, though, so that was important. Let's see a closer look at it here and there where the saw bowed. And then she stayed in position. That was excellent job by her to get that last little bit off. So that was a key component to make sure that she had that last piece off and a full cookie on the deck. So great job. Rachel Farrington still holding down the top time with Georgia Lewis in second, Libby Arrowsmith in third, and Beth Parker in fourth.
All right, single book, heat 3. Sarah Cox, PB of 33.14. She sets her saw, and you see there, Zoe Penlington. Also a great PB for Zoe. She'll be aiming to beat that, 27.88.
You can see Zoe repositioning the saw. Now she starts with the saw more or less centered on the block. And she steps it out to make sure that she's got it exactly where she wants it. Sarah Cox slightly farther along.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, and a big hook up there by Zoe Penlington. Sarah Cox got a little bit of a slow start as well, but now they're both into the flow, and that's really what's important here, is to keep that saw moving. Angle change again by Zoe, and she really got it hooked up now twice. Sarah Cox with the advantage as she gets past the halfway mark of that block, and Zoe struggling to find the line and the flow here. Both of them getting support. And Sarah Cox in 37.10, but she's got a little tap. She's got to cut off the bottom, and that's going to give her trouble. And Zoe Penlington slipped out the back foot as she gets that off in 41.46. Quick check by Bart Janssen on stand 1.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So that was some frantic cutting from Sarah Cox and Zoe Pendleton. Both of them slower than what we've seen from them in the past. And I think that there was too much excitement about trying to gain some points here. And the angle changes were just too frequent during the cut. So watch this again. So there's Sarah's start. And she got hooked up about 3 or 4 strokes in here, I think it was. There it was. And then we see Zoe. You can see the small angle changes there. She lifts at the back and pushes through, and then that will cause the teeth to hook up on the wood a little bit too much, and then it's just really difficult. And there's that tab at the bottom for Sarah Cox. She had to get back in there, and that was a difficult situation because the saw actually came away from the block, so she needed to reset it. And Gerald, who was up there helping, is not allowed to assist her in any way by touching the saw. He's only there to wedge. And right there, that saw went through quick at the bottom for Zoe.
Zoe putting her hamstrings through her paces there.
Yep.
Heat 4 in the single buck. Kat Eccles and Marta Paletti take to the stand. And again, Troy, it's all about trying to gain those big points. It could propel you up that leaderboard with the Women's Championship on the line this morning.
Well, by virtue of an excellent standing block and a very good single buck, Rachel Farrington is currently in the overall lead, but there are still 4 athletes to cut. And as I said, the single buck is an opportunity to gain some points here. Kat Eccles doing a little house cleaning there in the teeth of those 10 centimeter long teeth before she gets set. Marta Paletti.
Okay, ladies.
Ready for her cut. Here we go.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Look at the stance difference between these two women as well. Marta Paletti well back from the block. Wide stance with her legs so she can really push off that back leg. Kat Eccles using a little bit more of her upper body and shoulders. Now you can see the frequency of the cuts, not as fast by Marta Paletti, but she's using the entire length of the saw. Kat Eccles, in the meantime, she's only using about half the length of the saw, and our camera falling with each of those making me dizzy. Holy, holy. But Marta Paletti, she's got an efficient stroke going on here. Will she get through there? She keeps that flow going, and now she's got some pace as she gets to the bottom. So 2 different styles, and both of them seem to work as they drop almost at the same time. Marta Paletti with a 37.50, Kat with a 38.54. So as I mentioned, 2 completely different cutting styles, both efficient in their own way.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Marta is absolutely smashed there. She's like a little wave like this to the audience. Good job by both of those women, though. So you can see here the 2 different styles. Kat Eccles using about 50% of that saw.
And you can see why, you know, she's got such good strokes, Kat. She was a top tennis player back in the day up in Scotland, and so you can see the rhythm really comes into this, Troy.
Absolutely, rhythm is a dancer here in this case, and both of these women, as I mentioned, different styles, both efficiently cutting. Marta Paletti currently sitting in 5th place in the single buck results, with Kat Eccles just behind her in 6th. That was very, very close at the bottom. Very, very close. It almost looked like Kat was holding her breath for those last 4 or 5 strokes. Don't want to do that, folks. All right, next heat for single buck, and our last heat in the single buck between Felicia Bank and Justine Narusa. Justine holds the national record, as does Felicia Bank for Denmark. Both of them very good times as well. So what you're seeing Justine do now is she'll put that saw in place and she'll do a couple of test strokes for her positioning. This also helps clean out any of the slough that's in that pre-cut slot, so that when she puts the saw back in place, there's nothing going to stop her from getting the flow going. Felicia Bank getting right into position and ready to go. She seems relaxed. And again, that deep stance with that back leg way out back. Here we go.
Okay, ladies, athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very similar styles here as they're working to get those saws moving at full length. There you can see Justine going tip to knuckles with that saw. Very good flow for her as well. Felicia Bank doing the same thing. So these two angles, these two styles, very similar, but it's going to be Justine Narusa with a 21.01 and a 24.85 for Felicia Bank. So that puts Justine atop the leaderboard of the single buck results, with Felicia right behind her in second place, pushing everybody else down a notch.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so now that we are done and dusted with our single buck, we are going to take a look at the highlights one more time, and then we'll give you the results of the single buck and the overall. And you can see now here we have two very similar styles, the way they cut, the stance deep and wide, going for the long strokes, using the entire length of that saw. Very efficient way of cutting, digging that elbow in to really be able to push off that back leg. One time by Justine getting a little bit of a hook up there, but she did a quick check on the clock as she looked up after that fell, and it was a great job right there as well for Felicia. That thing bowed big time. Lucky that that whole block didn't, or that whole cookie didn't twist off.
Okay, so the full 10 points in the single buck go to Justine Narusa. She's not giving up her title without a fight here this morning. And Felicia Bank takes 9 points, and Rachel Berrington takes 8. We got the debutants there, Rachel and Georgia Lewis, hosting new personal best. It's their first time, so that's their personal best. And then Libby Arrowsmith, Beth Parker, they also get PBs, Troy. So wonderful, wonderful to see.
Yeah, love to see those personal bests fall. And as I said, this is an opportunity, with the chopping disciplines being a little more difficult here today, to change things around in the overall standings. Now, Rachel did hold on to that top spot for a short while because of her great performance in the standing block chop as well as in the single buck, but Felicia, with her good time, managed to move back to the top of the overall standings here. So it's really looking good for these top three women here. Georgia Lewis is right in the mix in the 4th place, and Justine Narusa has to really do something in the underhand chop if she wants to get back atop that podium, sitting in 5th place at the moment. So we had our British Men's Pro Championship yesterday. We want to give you just a quick review of the action that we saw there on stage yesterday. So have a look at this, and then we'll be joined by somebody special after this.
Okay, I'm delighted to say we've got the top man of British Timber Sports joining us right now, Glenn Penlington, the 3-in-a-row champion. Great to have you with us, Glenn. Talk us through your day yesterday. I mean, you're still busy here today on stage. We'll come to that in a moment. But yesterday, what an incredible time for you. 5 out of 6 disciplines. You took the maximum points. It's like you keep getting better and better, Glenn.
Yeah, a really good day yesterday. I was really happy with my performance. Even in the Stockstill where I didn't get the win there, it's still a PB for me, so I was really happy with that. And yeah, I was really shocked to get the 5 out of 6 wins. I think I got a bit lucky with the wood, you know, but you've got to have that in this sport. So yeah, I was pleased with the day.
Let's just talk a moment, because STIHL Timbersports for you is a family affair. I know you're heavily influenced and coached by your dad, who was chopping and sawing on this stage pretty much into his 60s. And now you're spotting and coaching your sister on stage there, and she's a British champion herself a couple of years ago, our history maker here. And then you've got your girlfriend taking part as well, Glenn.
Yeah. So like Dad started us off, and you know Zoe got involved in it, and Georgia dragged her along as well. So yeah, she's enjoying it. She's going well today, so it's good to see. And hopefully her and Zoe can do well in the underhand that's coming up.
Now, you mentioned Georgia, your girlfriend. You guys did a New Zealand trip to get some training. And talk a little bit about that and what you guys did in New Zealand while you were down there, because obviously it's a great opportunity to train in the off-season as well.
Yeah, for sure. We, me, Zoe, Georgia, and then Zach and Jack who were coming up later, and also Dad did a couple of cuts as well. We went across to New Zealand and competed in the South Island Christmas circuit. We had a fantastic time, learned as much as we could, and everyone was so helpful down there. So yeah, we took it all on board, and I think that's part of the reason I did quite so well yesterday.
So where's your loyalty now for cheering on your two women on stage today? Is it by Georgia or with your sister? Tough call, huh?
It is a tough call, yeah. I try and help them both out as much as I can. But yeah, they support each other a lot as well. They're backstage with each other, helping each other out, like all the ladies are. And it's good to see the ladies, taking on the stand and block this year. And good to see them completing it for Rachel, and then the other girls getting so close. But it's a great competition, so yeah, it's good.
It really is a family affair. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our British Pro Champion 3 years in a row, Glenn Pendlington. Thank you for joining us, Glenn.
Thank you.
All right, let's get it on with some further competition here as we get set for our final discipline, and that is the underhand chop. Check this out.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
Okay, so the underhand chop, our final event of the British Women's Championship 2024 here with STIHL Timbersports. We have Sarah Cox in Heat 1, Beth Parker alongside her. Then we have Georgia Lewis and Rachel Farrington in Heat 2, Kat Eccles and Zoe Pendlington in Heat 3. Heat 4, we'll see Felicia Bank and Libby Arrowsmith. And our reigning champ, Justine Narusa and Marta Paletti go in Heat 5. The underhand chop, Troy, it's pretty much every woman's favourite event.
Yeah. I mean, it's the first chopping event you learn on. It's the probably the one that you love to hate the most. And we'll see how it goes today for our heat number 1, Sarah Cox and Beth Parker. It's really for all the marbles here. This is the opportunity for our ladies to get on stage and get those last points towards trying to get atop that podium. And as I mentioned earlier on with the standing block chop, if you have a knot or something inside that block, you can sometimes damage the axe. And this is one of the reasons why you'll see the athletes come out on stage with ladies, 2 axes ready to go.
Athletes ready!
Stand to your timber.
And now the chips are starting to come out for Beth Parker on the right-hand side of the stage. Sarah Cox looking for those power drivers, but each time she goes in with power, she gets that axe stuck in there. Beth Parker, some nice accurate drivers. There's that, again, a chip just hanging in for dear life. Sarah Cox has moved over to the other side of her block now. Steps down, she's got to be gingerly back up on that block before she can swing that axe. That's an important aspect of it as well. If she swings while she's got a foot on the floor, that can be a DQ. So all of these ladies know that. You could also see right there, a beautiful shot of the chainmail socks that all the athletes are required to wear in this discipline to protect their feet. Beth Parker still working on the first side of her block, waiting for her to get to the other side fairly quickly here, as she does do now. And meanwhile, Sarah Cox on the first side as we get down to the last few seconds of our time limit. And both of these women going past the time limit. You can see on Sarah's, you got a little bit of a dark spot in the middle there. So again, tough blocks for these women.
So both competitors are disqualified for exceeding the time limit.
Now you can see both of them breathing heavily because that is, again, a ton of work that's going on. You've got to have power, you've got to have accuracy, you've got to have endurance, which all of these women do. And this is one of the reasons why they do set the time limits, because if you exceed the time limits and you keep chopping and you try and get through that block, as you get tired, your body gets fatigued, your muscles start to get a little bit soft there, and you lose focus, and sometimes that can be a very dangerous situation. So that is one of the reasons why our rule book does have a time limit set in, and that is a beautiful view right there. Fantastic.
Yes.
Nice weather today too, Alex.
Great we can see the Malvern Hills today, because yesterday we couldn't because of the fog. Georgia Lewis and Rachel Farrington go now in Heat 2. Amazing work from both these athletes in their debuts in STIHL Timbersports this season.
Okay, ladies, athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Rachel Farrington getting into it right away. Georgia Lewis with some pace as well. She is quick with the axe head, moving fast. Yeah, there's a difference there, the two different styles. Rachel's got some power, some accuracy. You can see those parts are chipping out for her on that underhand chop, just like they did on the standing block chop. And Georgia Lewis working for pace to try and keep that axe moving as quickly as possible. Who's going to go over to the other side first here? Both of these women working very well on the first sides of their blocks. Looking good and deep on the first side. They've got nice open faces there. Rachel moving over at exactly the same time as Georgia, as we're just getting towards the 45-second mark. Big chips waiting to fly, and they do for Rachel. She's getting into that second side very nicely. Some good accuracy. Those sides are looking smooth and clean on the right side of her block. Georgia Lewis, she's got chips waiting to fly as well. Got to the 1 minute mark, and it's looking good for Rachel Farrington. Is she going to be able to get through there like she did on standing? She's got a few more drivers to get there, but she's got to do it in 15 seconds. Georgia Lewis is, oh yeah, and Rachel Farrington through 1:14.31 personal best. Georgia Lewis has got 10 seconds now to get through there. Will she be able to do it? She's got a little bit of wood to get there. She got that pace going. Oh, and a big sticky axe is causing problems for her. And it looks like we're going to have a DQ for Georgia as well, unfortunately. So Andy Hall, a quick inspection of Rachel Farrington's block.
So we have a disqualification for exceeding the time limit. However, this cut is good.
So Rachel Farrington today has been so far the only woman that's been able to get through these blocks. She seems to have had the right axe choice, and her accuracy has played a big role in how well she's been able to cut here today. So very good job, and congratulations to her.
And you mentioned, Troy, just the importance of the cleanness of the cuts, and Rachel had that in abundance.
Yes, she did, and that's the thing, right? Every time you change the position and you cut in a different spot, you're cutting new wood, and that just takes up more time. If you can cut clean and accurately in more or less the same spot every time, and you can see right there on one of the blocks from earlier on, you got a lot of steppiness to where the cuts are, and it does happen, and I mean, it's there. But you could see that the cuts were a little bit cleaner on Rachel's block, and that's why she was a little bit faster through the block and managed to get through it. And axe choice plays a big role here, too.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Troy, that the wood is obviously the most vital component,
Yeah.
along with the saws and the axes.
Yeah.
But the wood on the day can be a big leveler. It can be a make or break.
It's a lucky draw sometimes, and I mean, like I said earlier, it's a natural product. So the outside can look the same for all of the blocks, but the inside is the difference maker here, and really, it's a big deal. Speaking of the wood, this is competition wood that's sustainably managed and grown. So we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about where this wood comes from.
We as STIHL Timbersports pride ourselves that all wood is sustainably grown, harvested and recycled to minimise the overall amount of wood processed. Firstly, this popular wood is grown on certified plantations. Secondly, the white pine for our sawing disciplines is only sourced from certified forest management. After all our STIHL competitions, all the spent wood is collected and recycled right down to the wood chips and sawdust, which, for example, is converted into renewable energy in the form of wood pellets for biomass. We quest to find certified partners. This ensures that all newly planted trees are nurtured and managed, promoting maximum efficiency and sustainability for the future conservation of our valuable forests.
Therefore, as you can see, with good harvesting practices and good management with silviculture, the ground is quickly replaced by new trees, or could even be used for arable for farmers and future rotations.
All right, last minute preparations on stage for our athletes coming up. Underhand Chop heat number 3, Kat Eccles and Zoe Penlington.
Yeah, of course, Glenn, Zoe's brother, is the reigning British male champion, and Zoe will be knocking on the door of winning the British Women's Championship of 2024. All to do, all to play for in this final discipline for both our women, Kat Eccles and Zoe Penlington.
Okay, ladies, athletes, ready?
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Great start by Zoe Penlington as she gets the pace going on that underhand chop. Kat Eccles on the far side also moving quickly to get that axe in there. One small sticky spot there for her, but so far the flow has been good for both of these ladies. And again, the wood playing a huge role for these these women today as they are trying to get deep on that first side. Nice open face by both Kat and Zoe. You can see there a little bit of the chips hanging in for dear life again. So who will go over to the second side first here on the underhand chop? It's going to be Kat Eccles. Checks her balance and then starts working on that second side, and we are just nearing the 55-second mark here. And there, Kat's getting some chips going. You can hear Gerald Lewis yelling at her from the background. Zoe still on the first side. Kat Eccles doing her best to get through that second side and get some points out of this underhand chop. Will she be able to do it? 17 in now after the minute, so a minute 20, 10 seconds to go. It looks like she might be fairly close. Zoe's still on side one. A little bit of a bounce there for Kat Eccles, and I think we may see a couple more DQs here. Yes, we will, unfortunately, on the underhand chop. Those blocks are just unrelenting today.
So, both athletes are disqualified for exceeding the time limit.
You can see there's some disappointment on both of those women's faces. They knew they wanted to get through there, and they knew they had the skills to do it. Just wasn't happening today. As we take a look back at the pace at which they started, it looked really good, but just you could hear the axe hitting the block going, and it was just not working. But you could tell as well that both of them had really good technique here because they weren't getting stuck all that much. So it was just a matter of getting in there and getting around as quickly as possible. We did see Kat Eccles get around to the second side of hers, and here we see an axe change right away by Zoe, which is the reason why she stayed on that first side a little bit longer. She changed to a different axe, which I'm guessing had a different shape to try and get more material out. Unfortunately for them, it just wasn't happening today. So our last two athletes here, no, excuse me. Four more athletes to go. So heat number 4, Felicia Bank going up against Libby Arrowsmith. Let's see if they can do it.
Well, I'm interested because I've heard.
Okay, ladies. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
I was going to say I missed it, Troy, but I was interested to see if Libby did an overhead Icelandic thunderclap before she took part in the underhand, because she said that's one of her superstitions.
Okay.
We'll have to look at the replays. Anyway, going great guns to begin with, though.
Yeah, Libby looking good here. Felicia also looking very good on that first side. It looks like they've both gotten fairly deep into the blocks already. So Felicia's going to be first over to the second side by 2 strokes as Libby joins her on side 2. And this is looking good as they've both gotten over there by about the 30-second mark. So that gives them a lot of time on this second side. If they haven't shortcut on the first side, then they should be good. And it didn't appear as though they shortcut on the first side. And both of them looking really nice here on the second side. Libby's got some big chips coming out. Felicia have a little bounce right there. And it looks like it's wiggling and waggling for Felicia. She might get through there. And Libby's very close as well. And Felicia's done it in 54.32. And Libby's got it in 56.14. Yes, we have some times on the board. Felicia Bank and Libby Arrowsmith both logging times under a minute here. And that is fantastic.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
I feel like you nearly said Libby Arrow smoke, and she was smoking that, Troy.
Yes, she smoked that block is absolutely correct. I mean, what a great job by both of these women. Look at the way they started, though, here. You can see the big chips flying. Again, the wood is unrelenting today, so it's really about your axe choices, and you get an opportunity to test the axes on the blocks in back beforehand. Now, Libby's first side, a bit of a narrow cut, a little bit of salad in there, but she got over to the second side, and both of them, Libby and Felicia both, were looking very good as they got onto that second side around the 30-35 second mark. And you could even see in Felicia's there was a little knot there, but neither one of them were having any of it with these blocks. They were not going to take any guff from these chunks of wood below their feet, so they went for it, and they did a fantastic job. And it's great to see that we now have 3 women with times locked in the underhand chop. Great job.
Troy, we talked about the 4 disciplines, we talked about all our incredible women today, but who's impressed you today?
Rachel Farrington, bar none. She's brand new to women's competition here. She did a great job on the standing block. She was the only one to score points there, and she really did a good job on the underhand. She's been scoring personal best all day long, with the exception of 1 DQ in the stock saw. She's really redeemed herself the rest of the way along, and I think that that's a good sign, because you can see that more and more women are joining the sport, and more women are becoming adept and very excellent what do we call it? Lumberjills. And fell over my tooth here. So, I mean, it's a great job by Rachel today. She's done a good job. And Libby, of course, along with Felicia at the end there, fantastic cuts on the underhand chop.
I mean, you mentioned there that the margins are so slight and so fine. Rachel should be so pleased it's her debut here at the Women's Championships.
She should be completely proud of herself.
One more event and a few more points, she could have been knocking on the door of taking home the title.
Very possibly, very possibly.
Yeah, so that culminates the action here. You've seen the stock saw, you've seen the standing block chop, the single buck, the underhand chop, and our stage is ready now for our final heats. The championship is on the line. Justine Narusa and Marta Paletti.
All right, both of them have times well under a minute on the underhand chop. Question is, will they be able to pull it off here today?
Justine, the national record holder in this discipline, with a time of 50.25.
Okay, ladies. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Whoa, big bounce on that axe by Marta Poletti on the first driver, but she got back into the action right away. No sticky axes so far for Justine or Marta as they're digging in deep on that first side to try and get those chips flying. Let's see if we can get them both over to the second side of their blocks at the 30-second mark or thereabout. That would be a good sign for both of them. Oh my goodness, Justine over at about 22 seconds onto the second side. Marta Poletti still on side one now, and a big chip flying as Marta moves over to the other side of her block and starts on side number 2. Meanwhile, Justine Narusa chopping away on side number 2. Is this going to be a good time for either one of these two women? 45 seconds in now. Nice accuracy by Marta Poletti. She's so clean on those sides. Big chips flying out for Justine Narusa, going for the power drivers here. Let's see what our times are going to look like as they get through this second side, as we are now closing in on the minute mark here and getting close for both of them. Justine Narusa through at 1:01.35. Marta Poletti almost there. She's got a few more drivers to get through. It looks like she's got a solid block, and here we go. It should be done, and she's got 1:10.34. Very well done, and we have 5 women on the board with times. Fantastic. All right, we do have an investigation briefly by both of our judges on Marta Poletti's and a flag on the play, and I fear we might have a cut foothold. They're going to check that very closely.
So we had an investigation for a potential cut foothold. However, both cuts are good.
The reaction from Marta, fantastic. Hey, yo, what the heck is going on here? Oh, she was nervous there, but no cut foothold, so that's a great job. I love the reaction, though, fantastic, because she was shaking her head, thinking, oh, she's going to get a DQ, and then Andy let her off. Great job. Look at Justine, though. She's just going for it. Great style. Marta Poletti, such good accuracy. Look at the smooth side she's got going on here. Every driver right on point for her. Really nice job. On the second side, Justine just pounding away. And again, you can see those protective socks that they wear, the chainmail socks. They want to have soft shoes for as much grip and maneuverability on those blocks as possible, so they need to have some sort of protection. A little step down there by Justine, but this is the last couple of drivers to get that block loose and open, and she has a time on the board, as does Marta Poletti. So good job by all of the last 5 ladies who hit on the underhand. Very nice to see those times going.
Okay, let's see where the points have gone. 6 points have gone to Rachel Farrington. 7 points have gone to Marta Poletti, and you saw her punch the air finishing off that underhand chop. Justine Narusa, 8 points. 9 points go to Libby Arrowsmith with a great run. And the full 10 points with a season's best with a time of 53.99 go to Felicia Bank.
All right, so now as we move on to the overall ranking, how things have shifted around for us, Felicia Bank is atop the ranking with 29 points, just 5 points ahead of Libby Arrowsmith, who has her second place here today with 24 points, tied in points with Rachel Farrington, and the only reason why that she is ahead of Rachel Farrington is because of that stock saw and Rachel having a DQ there. So that played a role in how that ended up in the overall standings. And we could see Justine Narusa, no repeat for her, unfortunately, in 4th place today with 18 points, and Marta Poletti joining us in the top 5 with 16 points. And I will throw it over to Alex, who is on stage getting ready to introduce our athletes, judges, and our top 3 onto the podium.
Thank you so much, Troy. Yeah, we're so proud to back our incredible women here in Great Britain for STIHL Timbersports. It's our 3rd year of these championships, and as you've seen today, the quality just keeps on improving. We are going to bring our athletes out onto the stage for the medal ceremony, and let's go through now. in reverse order. In 10th place today, Zoe Penlington. In 9th place, Beth Parker. Eighth place, Sarah Cox. Seventh place, Kat Eccles. Sixth place, making her debut this year, Georgia Lewis. Fifth place, Marta Poletti. Fourth place, Justine Narusa. And presenting the trophies to our third, second and first places today, we have Simon Hewitt, the head of marketing from STIHL GB, who will be welcoming up in third place. An amazing debut, 24 points. Give it up for Rachel Farrington. Our 2024 runner-up, ever improving, only 17 years old, Libby Arrowsmith. And the winner of the STIHL Timbersports British Women's Championship of 2024. Let's congratulate Felicia Bank. Congratulations once again, Felicia. If you're able to, out in the crowd, we will now stand for the national anthem of Denmark. Congratulations once again to our podium finishers, Rachel Farrington, Libby Arrowsmith, and our winner, Felicia Bang. And now for the fun part.
Rachel's done this before.
Libby's not old enough yet to consume any of this, but it's still fun. Okay, Felicia, don't go anywhere. We want to congratulate you. We want to talk to you for a second as you're dripping in champagne. Congratulations to you, Felicia. Just talk us through how the event went for you, because you were set to take maximum points in 3 of the 4 disciplines. A great run for you today. How did it go?
Well, I think I did pretty well. I almost made it in 3 of them. So yeah, I'm happy with today.
When you woke up this morning, did you have the sense that you were going to be here and be a champion?
No, I was hoping, but you never know with the wood, and you never know how your day is going to go.
Yeah, how's the training gone? Because it seemed like everything just came into play at just the right time for you.
Yeah, I think I got really lucky with the way I've been training and just matched the wood pretty good. So yeah.
Felicia Bang. Wonderful scenes there. Amazing Timber Sports once again, Troy. We've had a blast. It's been an amazing day here in Malvern for our 2024 Women's Championship.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic day. We've seen some excellent action out there on the stage. We've seen some difficult wood. Everything that can happen, could happen, and did happen in the contest. So big congratulations to Felicia Bank, of course, for taking the championship title here, as well as Libby Arrowsmith. And of all of the women on that podium, impressive was Rachel Farrington and how well she cut and chopped today. Absolutely fantastic day for the top three. Later on, we still have our Rookie British Championship coming up, so don't go away. Make sure you join us back again for that. That should be an exciting amount of action with some of the top rookies battling out for the top spot on the podium. Until then, take care, everybody, and we hope you enjoy, and will join us again later on. See ya.